Hi there, my name is Mystagogue John Martin. This is Unveiled. We welcome you to this beautiful chapter, and today we are here to give you an inspirational word, a word of motivation that can take you to the next level. You are making up your mind to begin a project. You are getting ready to start that serious enterprise. Maybe you had an idea to pursue greatness, but you are asking yourself, how can I do it? Will I be able to do it? Will I be able to pursue that greatness ahead of me? That is why we are here. There are some important ingredients about success and greatness that when you get to know, it makes things easier and better for you. And I'm doing this inspirational review with Mystagogue Isaac McAbraham. He is actually the visionary of Impact Network Worldwide. And he is ready to move along with us. Mystagogue, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, just as we've been doing it, our focus is to tackle issues of spirituality and then important things about humanity that is going to help human beings to conquer their lives in the direction they expect it to be.
Exactly.
Today, I want us to digest and carefully look into critical statements Albert Einstein made. We know that this man is renowned in greatness in the field of science and universal learning. And he made some critical statements. And one of the statements attributed to him is, logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. Yes, this is what he stated, as it has been attributed to him. Logic will get you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. Now, I want us to inspire somebody who is watching us. I want somebody to get the import, the power of this statement in more applicable way so that they can look at life through this statement as a spectacle. Now, with a little preview of logic. Logic gives us the impression of reasoning, all right? Putting your thought on a sequence of argument and reasoning so as to make a meaning. So where logic is concerned, we try to eliminate falsehood and prevent haphazard thinking. So the logic of things reveals how life works in stages, steps, sequence, and orderliness. So if the statement is saying that logic will get you from A to B and imagination will take you everywhere, then we can see that Einstein has introduced another word, imagination. So in our discussion, we are going to see the transition of logic to imagination and let everyone understand what benefit this statement can contribute in their lives. So, my first question is, what is your perspective view on the statement, logic will get you from A to B? What do we mean by logic will take you or will get you from A to B?
All right. Thank you very much. That is a smart question, actually. The statement said, logic will get you from A to B.
Yeah.
Logic will get you from A to B. So there's a parameter set in between A to B. So as you rightly said, you give a preamble about logic just to add something little in order for us to arrive at what we actually want to get to. In my words, logic is a systematic approach, the orderliness, and the sequential means and method processes to achieving an end. So in this, when logic is concerned, we are looking at principles and rules.
Principles and rules. Okay.
Logic follows principles and rules. Mm-hmm. So let's say, for instance, if in mathematics, 1 plus 1, it can only be 2. Mm-hmm. There's no way 1 plus 1 can be something else.
In mathematics.
In mathematics.
Yeah.
So 1 plus 1 equals to 2. So this quote, the first part of this quote, is actually stating that when you follow logic, you are limited in life.
When you follow logic, you are limited in life. Can you explain further?
What I'm trying to mean is that if you follow only logic in life, if 1 + 1 = 2 in mathematics, it means that there's no way 1 + 1 can be anything else in mathematics. So if this is the rule or a principle that I'm applying in this particular endeavor, after I apply that principle and achieve that means, there's nothing else I can do apart from following that same process again. So in that sense, I'm limited. That is why he ended up introducing the next stage, which we are yet to go there. But in my perspective view about this whole thing is that when you follow logic, one way or the other, there is a limitation in logic. So other factors must come into place in order to aid your adventure in success in life.
Okay. All right. Very interesting how you put the understanding. If I'm to recap all that you said, there is this kind of limitation somebody will go through when the person focuses only on the rules of logic, because logic puts you into a framework of thinking.
Exactly.
So if he stated, logic will get you from A to B, that is where you introduce the parameters. Okay, so A becomes a point of reasoning and B becomes, let's say, the conclusion or the destination. So logic will tell you from here, you are going here. That is the introduction of a life of formula. I hope I'm clear.
Very much on point.
Now, it is very interesting to understand this because we are going to take this to another level and then open your eyes in relation to the implication of the statement we just quoted. Logic will help you to reason because logic supplies thought elements that helps you to think in any field. Now, if Einstein stated that logic is going to take you from A to B, this is telling you that A is the beginning or is a point of reference and B is the destination where you want to get to. So logic will just confine you. It will not help you to think outside the box. It will put your mind into a certain pattern of reasoning. By that, you end up following what we call standards. And if your life is seated on standards, the standard is when you try to say, this is how we do it, or you keep on finding out, how do we do it? This is what I have heard people say. This is how we do it. And that is what you have heard people telling you. Now, I want to say something here. If logic is concerned, many people have constrained their lives and disturbed that kind of creativity that is supposed to be on them or is endowed in them.
Exactly.
Some people, when they meet a challenge, instead of going straight forward to say that, how can I approach this? They rather resort to, how do we do this? I believe we are right here. Now, how do we do this? I see a very big problem with that because the inventor or whoever invents, I don't think that person invented a new thing through the formula, how do we do this? Because whenever you make reference to how do we do this, then you are going to make reference from a standard, a point of view, a traditional way that has been accepted. Somebody has brought up an opinion, and that opinion worked for a time. And as time progresses, we would end up having different feelings, different emotions, different perspectives, unique appetites towards things. So, if we still resort to the old way, the old methodologies and approach of doing things, that is where the statement says from A to B.
Exactly.
I hope you get it. So from A to B is just telling you that you are just looking for the methodologies for accomplishment from point A to point B. This is not going to allow you to perceive point C. Because, take for example, you've been called into ministry and you are subject to your spiritual father. You could see that because you are now growing up, it is much necessary that you learn from those who have gone ahead of you. So it is very easy to say or to ask, how do we do it? How do we do ministry? In this case, how do we do ministry? In this way, do you expect the person to give you an answer different from what he or she has discovered? Do you expect the person to give you an answer beyond his or her experience?
Definitely no. Definitely no. You can only give, or you can only offer what you have.
You can only offer what you have. Good. In this respect, from point A to point B will place you in a box, a restricted framework of thinking. From A to B. So if it is about how do we do this, in my perspective, from A to B will be good to start the journey. Because I don't know anything about a field.
Yeah.
So definitely I have to resort to people who have experience about it. And they are going to tell me, this is how we do it. From A to B. From Bible reading to prayer. From prayer to fasting. From establishing your company, getting the ideas, looking for customers, writing proposals. That is the framework of from A to B.
Exactly.
Trying to think within standards and looking for how we do things. Now, I want to pose a question to you. If logic will get you from A to B, what power does the inventor use? If somebody is an inventor, does the person limit him or herself to this short statement? Logic will get you from A to B. Does this apply to inventors or innovators?
All right, before I come there, considering the statement that is being made here,
Yeah.
the writer or the one who propounded that quote is not necessarily mean that people shouldn't go by logic.
Okay.
But rather apply logic, as you were saying in your words, that it doesn't mean that don't go by standards. Follow standard, but when you get to a point, stand out to make a difference.
Follow standard, but when you get to a point,
stand out to make a difference. We are in a changing world.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe strongly that the business principles that have been propounded years ago are not the same that we are applying today.
Okay.
Not all of them.
Okay.
The theories that science came out some time ago, as time goes on, science begins to change those theories.
Okay.
So imagine you as a person, you are still holding on to the rudimental or the foundational principles and theories propounded.
Mm-hmm.
You will not be able to fit into our current world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the writer means, that logic will lead you from A to B, but it takes another creativity, openness to assessing realms of intelligence, of cognition, in order to be able to make a difference in your world. So this simply is telling us that in order not to be laid out of usefulness and functionality, don't limit yourself to logic.
Okay.
But to that, advance yourself. Now, you were asking that, does that same thing apply to the one who, or the inventor?
The inventor or the innovators.
The innovators.
If somebody is an inventor or an innovator, are they limited to the standards, the status quo? This is how we do it from A to B.
Definitely no.
Definitely no.
Definitely no.
Then we want to know, what do inventors and innovators use?
All right. Inventors and innovators, this is what they normally do. They study what has been and what is in existence and what is in process. Then they pick ideas and they bring those ideas together. Then they go further to add up their own creativity and their own imaginations.
Okay, before you continue, I just want to introduce this. They get ideas from history.
From history.
What others have done, they pick concepts from it.
Yeah.
And then they look at it in how to solve a problem.
Exactly.
Not necessarily limiting their minds to how the people they learned from did it.
Exactly.
But they know how to introduce
new
ways of doing things, forsaking the rudimentary and the so-called "this is how we do it" mentality. Okay, continue.
So, by so doing, when that happened, they now bring about something that is beyond what used to be.
Okay.
And then we begin to see them as heroes. But it's just a simple trick. Okay, person A came to say this, and the person B came to say this. Then I look at both of them, I pick an idea from here, I pick another idea from here, and I combine their ideas.
Combination of ideas.
And then I add up my creativity or my idea, and they come out with a more solid statement that will win upper hand beyond what they have stated. And at the end of the day, I become the winner of the game. In innovation and this kind of creativity and the rest, this what simply happens.
Okay, we'd like to
Let's
know more
look
about this.
into, for instance, the light bulb. The first inventor of light bulbs. Definitely, the kind of light bulb and light systems we are seeing today wasn't created by that person. But he laid down the foundation. And as generations begin to grow and increase in knowledge and understanding, they realize that if we could add up these to what has been done, we can achieve something better that will fit into our modern system. By so doing, they end up bringing about mind-blowing and like dumbfounding creativities.
Beautiful
creativities that you can't even imagine how they're able to get it done.
Yes.
They look upon what has been and they pick it and add up their own intelligence.
Good.
Let's take our mobile phones, these smartphones. First, we're having the keypad phones.
Yes.
But somebody sat down and they observed carefully, how will it be if you have the kind of phone that you can just press, like tap
swipe and all that.
Swipe, tap the screen, and then things are happening.
Yeah.
Instead of the keypad. Then let's combine these ideas and join this together and see what happens.
Good.
And by so doing, some of them went further to bring about like-minded people who are also skilled in fields that contribute to that development.
Yeah.
Then they come up and share their ideas and then bring something. And as a result, we move from keypad to smartphones today.
Good.
So every innovator or inventor, one way or the other, they rely on the ideas, creativities, and innovations of others in order to improve upon what they want to do.
Okay.
So as a person, if you want to stand out in the world and your life is limited to standards and principles, they are good in itself. However, they are not absolutely good in itself.
Yeah.
You can't be greater than somebody when you are limited to the ideology of just that person.
Very true.
If you want to rise above mediocrity or you want to get to a standard where everybody will see that you are on top, you have to be able to add up creativities to what has existed and be able to push yourself at the top there. If you go by what is there, you end up being normal. You end up being in the masses. But to stand out, you have to make a difference by combining ideas, creativities, and their imaginations in order to be outstanding in your generation.
Okay. That is going to really help us. And I would say you have really expressed important things by which I'll be able to stand on to make some one or two contribution. We heard from the Mystagogue that innovation begins from looking at how it has been, learning from it, taking ideas and concepts so as to re-look into society, study the new trend of challenges and problems people are going through, and then how somebody did it in the past should inform and update you about ways and means to address similar things. Then you learn from it then you consider another creative way. You should be able to create, get the ability to bring new things alive. Now, what we are saying is, we are not condemning you picking standards and methodologies of doing things.
Sure.
But what we are trying to say here is that if you are going to limit yourself to always asking the question, how do we do this? How is it done? You will always get answers from people's latest development. And if that person can't look beyond to see higher discoveries, you are automatically going to limit yourself in this respect. So, what do you do? First of all, if you have no idea about the field, consider selecting a guide or a mentor, learning from the person, get an idea about how that person is doing it, learn it into details, capture all the imprints of transformation, and then move to the next level to how can I do this? Remember, Jesus asked the disciples a question on their journey. He paused them and he said, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" Who do men say? So you can see that men have their perspective view about something. And when the answers went forth, some say you are this, some say you are that, some say you are this. And Jesus said, "Now, coming to you, who do you say I am?" You could see that Jesus limited Peter's mind to himself instead of some say or men are saying. So Jesus is an innovator. He believes in bringing about innovations. Consult your inner mind and bring an opinion alive instead of just referring to what some are saying. So I want to ask you, the challenges you are in right now, what do you think is the cause? Ask 2 or 3 people. So let's say, for example, you are going through some relationship challenges and you consult 3 people and you ask them, what do you think is the cause of my problem? They're going to virtually give you the cause as they think. But the issue is, you are the one in the relationship. So you might know some secrets they don't know. So the answer they will give you is a general overview of relationship challenges. After you have heard from them, you have to look at what they told you in relation to what you are facing, and you can possibly get an idea. So they will give you from A to B. That is called their perspective, view, standard. They think it is this, but Jesus will ask you, what do you say? Coming to you yourself, what do you say? That is where you extend opinion from what some say. Then you bring it to what you think or what you are saying. And when Peter released his mind, that is where the Holy Spirit had the opportunity to indoctrinate him that the person you are talking about is actually the Son of God, the Messiah. This is very important. See how Jesus marked Peter. He said, flesh and blood has not given you this. Flesh and blood is just giving you an ideology of scientific data. He's just trying to tell you that this answer you have given about me is not coming from the physical study, but it is spiritually and divinely inspired. Now, to enter into innovation, you must be divinely inspired. You should be triggered by the inner voice. And this is going to help us to awaken the second statement, which says, imagination will take you everywhere. So, we are not condemning standards, but we are trying to say that standards work for a time, and later discovery comes to update standards. So if you are going to open yourself up to discoveries, I know that you will become an inventor, an innovator, and something greater is going to come from your life. So we would spend a little while on the next level, which has to do with imagination, and we would go deeper into discoveries so that somebody will be able to know how to discover to improve their lives. Now, imagination will take you everywhere. What is your opinion on this?
All right. Imaginations will take you everywhere. So let's look at the statement carefully. If imaginations will take you everywhere, then it means that there's no limit to imaginations.
If imagination will take you everywhere,
then it means that when it comes to imaginations, there can never be a limit.
There's no limit to imagination because of the everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay.
As the statement goes.
Yes.
Now, what is imagination itself? Let me just throw a little light on that before coming back. I see imagination to be like releasing your mind to explore possibilities.
Releasing your mind to explore possibilities.
And as a result, you end up discovering.
Okay. Releasing your mind to explore possibilities. And the result of this is discovery. I believe this is going to help somebody to discover himself. So let's work it out. How will I release my mind? Help us here.
All right. In releasing your mind, imagination, image, in animation. So this is a place where you open up yourself. And then you begin to see things in your mind. So they will say that see it in your mind's eyes. What it simply means that imagine the possibilities.
Okay.
Imagine beyond the limitations you are seeing. So release your thoughts in order to embrace and welcome ideologies and concepts from external of you and internal of you to embrace ideas and creativities. However, in doing this process, when you release your mind to the realm of possibilities, it is spirits that communicates with our mind and with our spirit. So when you release your mind for such purposes, you contact the spiritual world. So spirits are those that will bring those ideologies, those creativities. In actual fact, nobody gets idea by themselves.
Okay. In actual fact, nobody gets ideas
by themselves.
But they release their mind into the heavenlies, into the realms of the spirit.
Exactly.
And voices of spirits
come to them
into their mind as thoughts. So by this, people are able to empower their imaginations by, first of all, learning how to release their thought away from the standards. In quote, how do we do this?
Exactly.
By trying to look beyond the set up pattern to recreate another pattern.
Exactly.
And that is going to boost invention, innovation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's why imagination is one of the powers of deep creativity and innovations.
Imagination is one of the powers of deep creativity and innovations. And we are just helping you to look at things in the light and the perspective of the statement, imagination will take you everywhere. Now, taking you everywhere is not just telling you that everywhere as in everywhere. If you want to go to impossible places, imagination will take you there. But imagination is a world on its own that enables you to have a free zone in your brain so that you will not necessarily meet a borderline or a barrier. But imagination will cause you to break away from obstacles. Let's say, for example, somebody wants to buy one of the latest cars which costs thousands upon thousands and millions of dollars. And the person is saying that I don't have enough money physically. Now, if imagination can take you everywhere, I think this statement can make somebody buy a car in his mind.
Simple.
Because you can enter into the garage and then use your mind to create the most expensive car garage. Walk in there, inside your mind. Ask them, what is the price? When they say this car costs, let's say, $5 million, buy it in your mind.
Exactly.
If you're not able to buy the most expensive car in your mind, it will be very difficult to derive interest in making an attempt in purchasing it in the physical.
And that's what I said, that what you've not released your creative mind to have access to, you can never have it physically.
What you have not used your creative mind to grasp or to have access to, you can never
have it physically.
It will be difficult. Getting it physically.
Exactly.
All right.
Because when you release your imaginations and you see it in your imaginations possible, then there's a certain drive and a certain propelling force that will want you to get what you saw in your imaginations physically on the ground. That is where people begin to get this kind of inspirations, ideas, push and urge to make things happen. Why? They first saw it in their imaginations and they saw it to be possible. That's why the businessman or the motivational speaker tells you that see it in your mind's eyes, because it begins from there. If you can see it being possible, you can achieve it tomorrow.
Good.
If you can see it possible to become a doctor tomorrow, you will be able to stand in the position to work out the systems and the patterns you ought to follow, no matter the struggles or the obstacles, to achieve that means at the end of the day.
Good.
But if I don't see it possible, there's nothing that will drive me to go for it.
Good.
If I don't see myself buying 100 cars in the future, there's nothing that will drive me now to be aggressive, to put things in order, to establish businesses, to become a public person, in order to use my intelligence to offer people benefits that will also pay me for it in order to buy those cars.
Excellent.
So, imagination will help you in order to succeed in whichever endeavor you want to enter. Maybe you are watching and then you wanted to do certain things, but you are not seeing it possible. First, go and see it in your mind's eyes. Once you grasp it in your mind's eyes, a spirit, I call it the force of that performance, will join you, because your imaginations become a magnet that will magnetize that spirit to you. And when that spirit comes upon you, you don't know where that creativity will come from. You don't know where the ideas will come from. You don't know where the drive will come from. All of a sudden, by the time you realize, you see yourself doing what you thought couldn't be possible.
Very, 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 very hard and interesting. Very, very, very hard and strong. When you are able to perceive that which you call impossible in your mind, it will attract the presence of a spirit, an energy that is going to propel a drive, a force, a desire, and an interest in pursuing that which you saw. This is a great inspiration for us all. Now, I'm going to add a little to that which has come forth. Imagination will take you everywhere. You could see that there is a statement attached to it. Logic will get you from A to B. Logic. Now, logic is reasoning alongside a defined pattern from this antecedent to this consequent. And we are going to see this. When logic is concerned, there is a framework that guides your mind. You can't think beyond the logic framework given to you, and you will be valid in your conclusion. So, for you to be sound in argument and for you to be valid in your conclusion, you must follow the pattern defined for that logic. And that pattern is what we call the standard.
The standard,
So, somebody will say, how can I become born again? And you will hear, accept you have sinned, and therefore you are a sinner. Believe in Jesus that he can save you, and confess. You can see, this is the logical pattern given for salvation. Now, what will somebody say if the person is asking, so what if I am in a world where I don't have anybody to give me this sequential pattern of becoming born again or thinking? This is it. In the first place, if you want to become born again, ask yourself, who am I now? You can see that you are an old person and you want to become a new person. The duty of born again will make you a new being. Therefore, you just need a parent, a new parent who will give birth to you again. So, what we are actually saying here is, allow your imagination to embrace the personality of the new parent, and that is Jesus. So, if you see Jesus fresh in your mind, and you tell him, my parents gave birth to me as a sinner, but I want you, Jesus, to give birth to me as yourself. That is where the whole process of born again begins from. So your imagination is going to tell you, embrace the personality of Jesus, be willing to let go of your biological sins or your biological personality that contains the sinful nature, and then embrace your new parent, Jesus, and he is going to propel himself into the spirit and recreate you and bring you out again. So, in the imaginative process of becoming born again, first of all, accept the old must go to embrace the new personality, and get to know that the old parent cannot be responsible for the new personality. And the new parent is Jesus. So Jesus must come into your life. That is where we introduce that concept. Jesus must come into your life. And when Jesus comes into your life, he is going to wash away the old personality that contains sin obtained from Adam. And he's going to introduce the spirit of his Father, Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is going to be responsible for your regenerative personality. So in actual sense, born again is going to regenerate you. But if you shut your imaginations, how can you know that you have become born again? Because that process, born again, is going to work in your heart.
Yeah.
But it will be in your mind. You will be aware you are born again. So that when somebody tells you, let's go and do the former things we used to do that we call sin, you can boldly tell the person consciously and mentally that I am no more interested. So the heart condition must find its way to land in your mind. Whatever thing is going on in your heart must necessarily play or come into your mind, so that if God puts something in your heart, your mind can pick it and use it in the physical world. So, constructing the images in your mind and animating them, as he said, images in action, the animation of images becomes the imaginations. You can go everywhere when your imaginations are unlocked. You can dive deeper into phenomenon and perspectives when your imaginations are unlocked. Definitions can be broken and redefined if you allow your imaginations to be unlocked. You can innovate. You can bring new things if you're going to unlock the powers of your imaginations. Now, I want you to understand something. The person who introduced the latest smartphone was never satisfied of the old smartphone. So, imagination must have the spirit of dissatisfaction in it, so as to enlighten the eye to perceive the new thing. You should be able to desire for something new before you can move from point A to point B and cross from point B to point C, D, till the last alphabet you can ever create for yourself. And using imagination, you can even duplicate the sequence of the alphabets. Now, this is interesting, and I know we're going to find another time to go deeper into the perspective of imagination. So, I want you to tell somebody an important statement as you conclude.
It is never too late for you. If only you can see yourself becoming it, you can also achieve that target. Whatever you set before yourself or you desire to achieve in this life, and it looks like it will be impossible for you to have it or access it, just release your creative mind into the world of possibility. See yourself achieving it and having it. Once that happens, the force of performance will join you. And every resource, spiritual and mental resource you need, that will come to bring into manifestation the physical resources, will join you as a person, and you begin to assume the possibility of those things in your life. You've seen people going ahead. Whoever you are seeing today as the standard, I came here to announce to you that you can go beyond that person. If only you are going to release yourself and be prepared and ready in your mind to do the things that will take you there, you will surely climb that ladder of success, and your generation will also come and celebrate you for your good work. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Thank you too. Everyone watching us is being blessed by what you have spoken. And I really appreciate it when you expressed the inspiration towards them that they should go beyond the limit. Because the limit is point B.
Yeah.
And that which is going to help them cross the limit is imagination. So imagination is going to multiply opportunities in your mind. If you cannot imagine it, it will be difficult achieving it. Imagination is going to cause you to renew how it is done, to create your new way, so that somebody will also learn a new thing from you for the first time. Now, when you finalize your innovation, get to know, the next generation will also awaken their imagination, and they are going to break the record you also set. Using their imagination, they will also go beyond your innovation. So if we are going to add imagination to the latest innovation, there is going to be a new invention. And discovery will be the consequence of imagination.
Exactly.
I believe this is good for now.
Sure.
And we would set on stage again to be a blessing unto everyone.
Absolutely.
God bless you for coming.
Bless you, sir.
God bless you. And I know that you are ready for the next chapter. Stay blessed. I am Mystagogue John Martin, and this is Unveiled. God bless you.